On the eve of the annual March for Life here in Washington, President Biden took executive action today, day 8, to rescind President Trump's Mexico City policy, which blocked international entities from using U.S. tax dollars to advocate for or fund abortions, with rare exceptions. Let's get reaction tonight from former NFL tight end and keynote speaker at this year's virtual March for Life, Benjamin Watson. Always great to have you back.
Good to be here with you, Shannon.
Okay, so let me read a little bit from Secretary of State Tony Blinken today talking about these policy changes. He says, the empowerment and protection of women and girls, including promoting their sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights, is a central part of U.S. foreign policy and national security. It is a big shift from the Trump administration, which had tried to draw back these funding sources domestically and internationally for abortion. But it's a big change, Benjamin.
It is a big change, and when we talk about Mexico City policy and seeing how this kind of political football has gone back and forth since its inception during the Reagan administration, we knew this was coming. This is not a surprise, I don't think, to anyone. It's unfortunate that it's happened, and I think it's just a reminder to all those who care about life and care about protecting life that whatever happens at the top, we still have work to do. That doesn't change. So whatever the policy is, life should be protected. Look, the American people have been very clear when asked about how they feel about their tax dollars being used overseas for death and not to protect life. As Americans, we do have a great privilege and responsibility, I believe, to assist around the world. But in doing so, we assist to protect life and build up life, not to destroy it.
And you referenced some polling and some feeling by Americans. The latest poll, I think it's the Knights of Columbus Marist poll, shows that 58% of people, whether they identify as pro-life or pro-choice, however they want to title themselves, 58% of Americans don't think that tax dollars should be used domestically. That number jumps to 77%, again, regardless of how they self-identify, who don't think that U.S. tax dollars should be used to help fund abortions in other countries. Why do you think, with those numbers and that sentiment, that this particular administration has vowed to do that and is now following through?
It seems that we live in a time of extremes, and we've talked about this plenty of times, but what is happening from a policy standpoint from the far left and from this administration, for what we've seen so far, does not represent most of what people want. Most people are somewhere in the middle. Most people can find some sort of agreement, and especially when you're talking about spending our hard-earned money overseas, it should not be used for something like this. If anything, I believe that the American people should decide what happens with their money. They're the ones working for it, especially during a pandemic. To see something like this happen is very, very disheartening. But again, I just want to reiterate that it's imperative upon those who care about life domestically to understand the work still needs to be done. Do not grow weary in doing well at this time.
At all stages, and people who are vulnerable in all different parts of life. And I know you're committed to that. I know you're going to speak tomorrow. This is a very different March for Life for you and the organizers, but it will be available virtually, not the crowds we usually see here in D.C. But Benjamin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Shannon.